What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing an update to Infernoble Knights. That's right, this deck is incredibly powerful. It can set up an insanely powerful board for your opponent to struggle to break unless they top deck a darkworld no more, and even then you still have ways to push through that and protect. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. We're going to dive headfirst into the profile and show you what we've got. So you start off with the ideal normal summon of the deck to get your Infernoble Knight combos going, and that is of course Yugioh. Follow that up with triple Renard, double Oliver as a nice extender, and then we are playing one Magius, one Turbine, and one Ricardetto. So these are obviously all of the one-offs that you kind of need because you kind of want to send them off of the other effects. You want to be able to revive them from the graveyard. The little trick with the Turpin is it is not a hard once per turn to like constantly keep summoning itself back. So as long as you can make it with XYZ material and send it to the graveyard without it getting banished, you just bring it right back. Magius is one of them cards just for the deep grind game. They can put 3 of your Noble Arms cards back into the deck and or Fire Warriors to then draw a card. Now it's not a card you absolutely have to play. You could cut this if you really wanted to. I just quite like the idea of having another access to a level 4 while also giving me the ability that if it's just sent to the graveyard to recycle my graveyard should I need to for the grind. Then of course we've got the one Immortal Phoenix Gearfried followed by the Fire Flint Lady, and then probably the best generic normal summon for your deck is of course Neospatian. Now I know a lot of people want to play Sublation Knight, which is absolutely fine, but what the Neospatian gives you is the risk and reward factor. The risk is you're going to be going off of a monster that if it gets stopped, you are in a bit of trouble because you will struggle to kind of get your board further forward, which is why I counterplay to play cards like Instant Fusion and Ready Fusion, which I've shown in one of my previous builds. And the idea behind that is even if my Neospatian gets stopped, as long as I've opened up Instant Fusion or Ready Fusion, I can extend. Now the issue with that is a lot of your other cards all require you to have like Fire Warriors on the board. So once you commit to the Neospatian, if it does get stopped, it is a little bit tricky to kind of come back from it. But if it doesn't get stopped, straight away you're going to be able to get 2 Warriors on the board, which is your resolved combo, but you're also going to be able to look at your opponent's hand and set up your graveyard a little bit. Being able to see your opponent's hand, even if you too take that 500 damage, just being able to look at the hand, get full knowledge to play around the board and tailor your board to their hand, or looking at the hand, see exactly what they've got and then rip out a draw before it even gets to a point where they can activate it, can be near-eye invaluable. You can highly imagine that when you activate this effect, the cards you're going to draw out of your opponent's hands are going to be Imperms and Ashes, and that's why you need to be prepared to crack back, which is why it is a risky play, whereas with the Sublation Knight, it is a fire. It doesn't give you that hand knowledge, it doesn't require you to discard the card in order to summon it, but it does give you that ability that it will eat the same hand traps as Neospatian, it just remains as a Fire Warrior, meaning you can extend with your stuff like Renard and Ogard and everything else, Yugioh and everything else. Moving on to the spells, of course, we've got triple Duradal. This is basically your rota of the deck. I play the one Divine Sword, the one Living Fossil, the one Joyous, and of course the one Almace. Now, Divine Phoenix Sword is your ideal one that you're going to want to be sending when you're only sending 1 because you just banish 2, bring it back to the hand. You're constantly getting materials to discard from the hand and do everything you need to. I kind of go with the Living Fossil as it is one of the ones that if I open it up, I've got a nice Monster Reborn play. But you do also have options like DDR if you want to play that as well. This will probably be replaced with the new one. I can't remember the exact name of it. I can't remember if it's coming out in this set or the next set, or even in the side set. But it's just one that negates the first spell your opponent would activate and resolve. And obviously you can absorb technically 2, if not 3 with your Great Charles. Because you absorb 1, then they activate it, and if you've got that equipped, it will negate that as a mandatory effect. So really kind of cool. Then we've got 3 Heritage. This obviously searches everything out that you need. Followed by 3 Noble Arm Museum. Again, it is a Noble Arms, so it is very easily searchable. Another card that I am playing in collaboration with the Museum is the one Camelot, the one Round Table, followed up by Set Rotation and Terraforming. Now the reason that I'm playing this engine is what I quite like about the idea of this is being able to get to Camelot gives me access to get to another museum. And for those of you that have played Infernoble Knights, you know that Museum is not hard once per turns, so you can constantly keep getting everything you need. So, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Camelot, once per turn, if a Noble Knight card or card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one equipped card you control instead. During your main phase, you can banish this card until the next standby phase, and if you do, place one Noble Knights of the Round Table from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up into the field zone. And then you can special summon one Artorias monster from or add to your hand one Noble Arms card from your deck or graveyard. So it gives you graveyard recyclability. And the idea behind this is you would activate Camelot, banish the Camelot, give yourself a Round Table, which will activate into the field zone, use the effect of Camelot, give you your Museum. Museum gets added back to your hand. Activate the Museum, putting the Noble Knights of Round Table into the graveyard so that your Camelot is then live again. Activate the Museum, do your searching, do everything you need to. Then during the next standby phase, Museum will get replaced with your Camelot, and in doing so, your Camelot now protects all of your monsters from being destroyed by battle and card effect. So even if they Dark Ruler you and they don't read the secondary effect of this, you will be able to protect. And the best thing about this is, again, during the main phase, you get to banish it, you'll add back the Noble Knights of the Round Table, and then you can, of course, add back your Noble Arms Museum from the graveyard. So you're just looping the free all over again, constantly searching, summoning, doing everything you need to. I think it's a great little addition. You could maximize it and put it at free if you really, really want to. But the reason I've done it this way is because I quite like, if I see set rotation, I don't mind giving my opponent a Museum because I can recycle the one that gets to my graveyard anyway. And by giving them a Museum, I instantly don't need to worry about an evenly matched. Yes, I still need to worry about a Lightning Storm, but it also shuts off their field zone unless they want to then activate the Museum in order to activate another one. Now, keeping in mind on the rotation effect of the Camelot, with them having, if you do activate set rotation, you cannot activate another field spell while that card stays face down. So it is a bit of a risk and reward, but again, the idea of that pure play is if you set rotation them and give them a Museum and give yourself, give them Camelot and give yourself Museum, you're locking out the zones. And then if they do, or even better, you give them Noble Knights of the Round Table. Because if you give them Table, as soon as they get rid of this, then you're good to play another field spell. You activate this, you can still add this, the Round Tables back, and you just loop and go. And that's before you even consider the other effects of Round Table, which is very rare that it's going to come up, but it does give you that option. So the set rotation is an absolute must, but it does have some very nice interactions that a lot of people will not think about, especially when you consider them trying to play tier elements. Set rotation, give them Noble Knights of the Round Table, and then straight away you're causing them a bit of an issue. They can't break your board instantly, but if you don't like the set rotation, you can very easily play Camelot at 2, or you can play Camelot at 3. I only own one copy, which is why I went with this particular type of strategy, but I quite like the strategy when it works out. Carrying on with our one-offs, of course, we've got the one Rotor, the one Ready Fusion, and the one Instant Fusion. So in my previous builds, the reason that I play these cards is that I do play a, wherever it may be, Flame Swordsman. Now, I do really want to pick this up as secret from Speed Duels, but I'll get to that eventually. Now, the idea behind this and the way that I kind of looked at it is what Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion give me is for the cost of 1,000 life points, I extend without having to have any other requirements. I don't need to control a Fire Warrior. I don't need to have a card to discard in my hand. I can just extend a warrior to the board. That is how you then counteract any interaction on your connector, because straight away you can then go, okay, cool, you've impermed or you've ashed that card. I now activate Instant Fusion, which is very difficult for your opponent to stop. I summon out a Flame Swordsman. I straight away have a Fire Warrior on the board. That then allows me to extend even further or link into an Isolde and still continue to make my plays. Then, of course, we've got 2 Forbidden Droplet and 2 Imperms as like board breakers, hand traps, interactions, you name it. These can be Book of Eclipses. You can go deeper down the Triple Tactics, Thrust, and Talents route if you want to. It is entirely up to you on how you want your build to play. Now, obviously, I want to be able to see as much of the engine as possible. Yes, it does require minimum investment. Like, it's not 3 or 4 card combos to get everything you need to. It's like 1 or 2. And when you do that, you just kind of want to be able to then have fallback cards that do not run into Triple Tactics, Thrust, or Talents themselves and can still protect. So what I quite like about the Imperms and the Droplets is if you are worried about Thrust or Talents and them trying to steal your Charles, of course your Charles can negate that Thrust or that Talents. So you need to worry about something like Dark Ruler no more. And that's when you can fall back on stuff like Droplets and Imperms. It's because you have so many different equip spells, your Droplet is going to have near enough unlimited resource. And then of course that's where Camelot comes into play as well to protect your stuff from being destroyed by battle, on top of obviously the equip effects that you would already have. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, which is pretty staple apart from, of course, the Flame Swordsman. But for the Link monsters, of course, we've got the 1 Emperor Great Charles, or Emperor Charles the Great, followed up by 2 Isolde, 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman, and 1 Goki the Powerload Ogre. Now I like this as just a very nice towers and a way to out floodgates. The Flame Swordsman is one of them ones to get a Fire Warrior on the board off of the back of your connector combo, because it just needs 2 monsters with different names. There go give you a Fire Warrior that can then extend and increase your attack points. Of course you can go straight into Isolde if you want to as well, but it depends if you need to set more up. There are other Link monsters you can play, like the I think it's like the, not the Bian, but the Link 3, that basically lets you re-equip during the standby phase and pop during the battle phase. But honestly, I didn't really want it because I wanted to play 2 of the Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles. You don't have to play 2 of this, you can cut it down to 1 if you want to, because you can loop the first one. But it's one of the ones that if my opponent stops the first one, I have a second one to fall back on. 2 Angelica, just bustily broken for the deck. 1 Roland. The 1 Flame Swordsman, pretty standard on this one. And then I do like to play the 1 Custane and the 1 Artorias, followed by the 1 Zeus. Now you don't need to play the Custane. Again, this is your flex space for any other type of extra deck monster you want to play around with. There's a couple of different really cool warrior monsters you can utilize. You can also, if I remember where I put him, you can also play this guy as well, just because it gives you the land slaying, gives you the ability to search out more of your equipped spells, deal with certain matchups as well. So it can be a really kind of cool introduction or an addition to the deck. Personally, this is just the way that I like to play the build. I like the ability of bounce. I like the ability of being able to rank up. And then I do feel that a lot of people do not respect the Flame Swordsman kind of idea behind it. And a lot of people are like, oh, I keep getting stopped to my Neospatian. It's like, okay, cool. Well, this is a way you can help yourself from that not happening. Because, yes, okay, you can call by a Droll, you can call by a Ash Blossom, but that's a one-off, whereas you can't stop any of those with Imperm. Yes, you could play Crossout Designator if your locals is flooded with hand traps, but even then, I still feel that an instant fusion into a Flame Swordsman can be just as important for you. Not to mention as well, and a lot of people forget this, Flame Swordsman is a level 5. So all you need to do is add a level 4 tuner to that board, and then straight away you can actually just go straight into a Charles. And then equip a monster to Charles. Charles goes into the Great Charles Link 1. And then at the sorry, that's not Link 1. Go into the Great Charles Link 1. And then, of course, if you've got Museum, this can then summon itself back. And then you can just kind of push your plays further forward. So at the base minimum, you can like end like this, which is really cool, just from like an instant fusion and a museum. So really kind of cool option. I do like the idea behind it. Obviously, if you wanted to make it more consistent, you can play more ready fusions. But what I like the idea of is instant fusions at 1. You can play ready fusion at 1. You've got 2 copies that is going to get you the exact same outcome for the exact same price. And then if you do open up instant fusion and ready fusion, then 1 becomes very easy discard fodder for the rest of the deck. Anyway, that is it for the profile. I hope it's given you a couple of like techie ideas for your own build and just different options you can look at. I really do like the deck. I think it's kind of cool. I like its end board and its power ceiling. I just feel that it's one of them decks that plays so much engine that it restricts the amount of non-engine it can play in order to combat the meta with hand traps and everything else. But do not take it for granted. If this deck goes unchecked, it can end on an incredibly powerful end board that does require you to open up stuff like droplets with loads of fodder that can recycle itself, or a Dark World No More in order to break it. And even then, in the future, when they get the new equip spell, a single Dark World No More will not do the job for you, and it will cause you even more issues. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.